Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Monday, January 23rd, 2023. Today we're going to recap the weekend's NFL divisional round games. We have NBA and NHL, college basketball, soccer, tennis, golf, news and notes, and best bets. So a full show today. All right, we'll start with the NFL. 4 divisional round games that we must discuss. There were some good ones. There were some duds. So, Saturday, Chiefs over the Jaguars 27-20 as the Chiefs advance their 5th consecutive AFC Championship game, which is amazing. All with Patrick Mahomes at quarterback. Jaguars, great season. Won a weak division, but he still won a division. That team's only going to go up from there. And then Saturday night, the Eagles destroy the Giants 38-7. That was no contest as Philly moves on to their first NFC Championship game since the 2017 season. Great season for the Giants coming to a close, even though they got their asses kicked here. They found themselves a coach. Their quarterback's a free agent. What's going to happen there? There's people saying that they should not re-sign him, but I think that's an overreaction to that game that he had against the Eagles, which was not good. Sunday, Bengals over the Bills 27-10 as the Bengals advance their 2nd consecutive AFC Championship game to take on the Chiefs. And the Bills lose in the divisional round for the 2nd straight season, which is unfortunate. What a disappointing finish to the Bills season. Considering all that they went through and all the hope that they had. Very, very disappointing losing at home as about a 5.5 point favorite. And now there's a lot of questions in Buffalo. It's going to be a long off season there. And the 49ers over the Cowboys 19-12 as the 49ers advance to their 3rd NFC Championship game in the last 4 seasons. Their 2nd in a row. So what a ride it's been for Kyle Shanahan and the Niners. This time with Brock Purdy at quarterback. Brock didn't play great, but they still won. And Mike McCarthy had some terrible coaching decisions in this game. Jerry Jones already saying he's back. Not surprised. I think that he had they lost that Bucs game, he would have been out. But I guess winning a playoff game in Jerry Jones' eyes saved his job. And now we're headed for 49ers, Eagles, and Bengals, Chiefs, which is a fabulous Final Four. And you could argue these are the best 4 teams left in the tournament. So that's awesome that it ends up like this. Alrighty, now move on to the NBA. We will recap everything from the weekend, and we have 7 games to discuss for tonight. Friday, Magic over the Pelicans 123-110, Hawks over the Knicks 139-124, Warriors over the Cavs 120-114, Mavs over the Heat 115-90. Clippers over the Spurs 131-126. Nuggets over the Pacers 131-111. Nets over the Jazz 117-106. Lakers over the Grizzlies 122-121. And the Kings over the Thunder 118-113. Saturday, Celtics over the Raptors 106-104. Wizards over the Magic 138-118. Hornets over the Hawks 122-118. Cavs over the Bucks 114-102. Timberwolves over the Rockets 113-104. Suns over the Pacers 112-107. And the Sixers over the Kings 129-127. Sunday, Clippers over the Mavs 112-98. Heat over the Pelicans 196. Raptors over the Knicks 125-116. Thunder over the Nuggets 101-99. Suns over the Grizzlies 112-110. Nets over the Warriors 120-116. And the Lakers over the Blazers 121-112. And now we look ahead to the games for tonight. 7 o'clock, you have the Bucks and the Pistons. My projection is Milwaukee by 9 3/4, total 228 and 9/10. It looks like that both Giannis and Chris Middleton are going to be back tonight, which is great news. for the Bucks. And it's 7.5. Or I'm sorry, 11 and 233.5. I'm going to go with the under. I read the wrong line. Celtics Magic's at 7 also. Celtics I have as a 6-point favorite, total 228 and 3/20, and it's 7.5 and 231.5 under. These totals are way too high. NBA TV at 8, Hawks Bulls. My line is the Bulls by a half, total 231 and a 20th, and it is 1 and 238.5 under. Timberwolves Rockets. My line is Minnesota by 9, total 229 and a 20th, and it's 5 and 236, another under. 9 o'clock Hornets Jazz. My line is Jazz 9.5, total 232 and 4/5, and it's 7.5 and 238 under. 10 o'clock Spurs Trailblazers. My line is Blazers by 11.5, total 229 and 9/10, and it's 8 and 240.5 under. And at 10:30 NBA TV, the Grizzlies and the Kings. My line is Memphis by 3/4, total 233 and 1/5, and it's Memphis 1.5, total 246. Whew. 7 unders I've given out for you guys tonight. All right, now move on to the NHL. We will recap the weekend's hockey games and look ahead to tonight's games. Friday, Penguins over the Senators 4-1. Avalanche over the Canucks 4-1. Saturday, Sabres over the Ducks 6-3. Flames over the Lightning 6-3. Panthers over the Wild 5-3. Blue Jackets over the Sharks 5-3. Flyers over the Red Wings 2-1. Canadians over the Maple Leafs 3-2 in OT on a game winner by Rem Pitlick. Jets over the Suns 5-1. Canes over the Isles 5-2. Stars over the Coyotes 4-0. Preds over the Kings 5-3. Blackhawks over the Blues 5-3. Avalanche over the Kraken 2-1 to shootout. Oilers over the Canucks 4-2. And the Golden Knights over the Capitals 6-2. Sunday, Devils over the Penguins 2-1 in overtime on a game winner by Dougie Hamilton. Bruins over the Sharks 4-0. Kings over the Blackhawks 2-1. Jets over the Flyers 5-3. And the Coyotes over the Golden Knights 4-1. 4 games tonight. 7 o'clock, you have the Panthers and the Rangers from MSG. Important game for the Rangers. I think they got to win. They're minus 142. The Panthers are plus 118. Over under 6.5. Overs minus 122. Unders even money. Panthers plus 1.5 is minus 10. Rangers minus 1.5 is plus 168. I like the Rangers tonight in regulation at home, plus 102. Maple Leafs hosting the Islanders. A big game for the Islanders. Leafs minus 235. Isles plus 190. Over under 6. Overs minus 105. Unders minus 115. Isles plus 1.5 is minus 3. Leafs minus 1.5 is plus 106. I like the under in this game. 8:30 Sabres Stars. Stars minus 146. Sabres plus 146. Over under 6.5. Overs minus 118. Unders minus 104. Sabres plus 1.5 is minus 64. Dallas minus 1.5 is plus 134. I think that the Buffalo Sabres can win this game on the ice. But the fact that Dallas is such a large favorite and the Sabres are plus 146 scares me off a little bit. I'm going to go with the juiced over and set it minus 118. At 9:30 on ESPN Plus and Hulu, you have the Blue Jackets and the Flames. Flames minus 375. Jackets plus 190. Over under 6.5. Overs minus 108. Unders minus 112. Columbus plus 1.5 is plus 124. Flames minus 1.5 is minus 152. I really like the over in this game as the Flames have really turned their season around after a slow start. All right, college basketball. We'll go over everything from the weekend. And we will look ahead to tonight's games. Friday, Kent State over Ball State, 86-65. Siena over Mount St. Mary's, 72-57. Rider over Niagara, 65-62. St. Peter's over Marist, 61-57. Iona over Manhattan, 84-76 in overtime. Fairfield over Canisius, 67-58. Villanova over St. John's, 57-49. VCU over Richmond, 74-62. St. Fran PA over St. Fran Brooklyn, 87-61. Stonehill over LIU, 73-66. Wagner over Central Con, 72-50. Secretary over Fairleigh Dickinson, 92-85. Toledo over Buffalo, 86-77. And New Mexico over Boise State, 81-79 in overtime. Saturday, number 8, Xavier over Georgetown, 95-82. Duke over number 17, Miami, 68-66. Number 18, Charleston over Northeastern, 87-61. Number 25, Arkansas over Ole Miss, 69-57. UCF loses to USF, 85-72. Syracuse over Georgia Tech, 80-63. George Mason over Rhode Island, 79-72. Detroit over IUPUI, 87-77. George Washington over Dayton, 76-69. Number 14, TCU beats number 2, Kansas, 83-60. That was a stunner. BU over Loyola, 66-53. UMBC over New Hampshire, 86-69. Vandy over Georgia, 85-82. St. Joe's over UMass, 74-68. Citadel over VMI, 60-52. Wilmington over Stony Brook, 62-51. Navy over Army, 77-71. Number 11, Arizona over number 5, UCLA, 58-52. Number 10, Virginia over Wake, 76-67. Oklahoma State upsets number 12, Iowa State, 61-59. Number 13, Kansas State over Texas Tech, 68-58. Holy Cross over Bucknell, 80-73. Colgate over American, 62-61. Northern Iowa over UIC, 78-72. Southern Illinois over Missouri State, 61-57. BC over Notre Dame, 84-72. Harvard over Cornell, 95-89. Princeton over Dartmouth, 93-90 in overtime. Ohio State over Iowa, 93-77. Kentucky over Texas A&M, 76-67. Fordham over Decatur, 65-58. Asheville over Upstate, 64-58. Longwood over Presbyterian, 58-56. Radford over High Point, 95-80. Gardner-Webb over Winthrop, 63-61. Ohio over Central Michigan, 96-68. Coastal Carolina over South Alabama, 85-81 in overtime. Oral Roberts over North Dakota, 84-72. UMKC over North Dakota State, 75-73. South Dakota over Omaha, 84-68. NCAT over William & Mary, 90-86. Drexel over Udell, 77-74 in overtime. Stetson over Jacksonville State, 87-81. Jacksonville over Queens, 77-70. Liberty over North Florida, 73-62. Number 22, Providence over DePaul, 75-64. Penn State over Nebraska, 76-65. St. Louis over LaSalle, 84-71. Akron over Western Michigan, 63-55. Hampton over Monmouth, 83-66. Florida State over Pitt, 71-64. East Tennessee State over Chattanooga, 78-62. Marshall over Arkansas State, 87-78 in overtime. Southern Miss over James Madison, 83-70. Georgia Southern over Georgia State, 58-52. Western Illinois over St. Thomas, 60-56. South Dakota State over Denver, 76-61. Number 16, Auburn over South Carolina, 81-66. Northern Illinois over Eastern Michigan, 88-67. Number 9, Tennessee over LSU, 77-56. Number 20, Marquette over Seton Hall, 74-53. Number 21, Baylor over Oklahoma, 62-60. Jackson State over Thune, 70-66. NC Central over Delaware State, 74-55. Drake over Evansville, 97-61. Belmont over Bradley, 78-76. Brown over Columbia, 97-85. FAU over UTSA, 77-72. North Texas over UAB, 63-52. Loyola Chicago over St. Bonaventure, 67-55. UNC Greensboro over Mercer, 59-48. Towson over Elon, 66-62. Hawaii over UC Riverside, 67-63. Eastern Washington over Northern Arizona, 79-76. Eastern Kentucky over Austin Peay, 74-59. Wyoming over Colorado State, 58-57. Norfolk State over Coppin State, 96-65. Howard over Morgan State, 88-55. Nichols over McNeese, 71-68. Tennessee Martin over Eastern Illinois, 91-78. Little Rock over Tennessee State, 89-77. Morris State over Lindenwood, 72-63. Maryland Eastern over SC State, 76-70. Southeast Louisiana over A&M Commerce, 79-73. Southern Indiana over SIU Edwardsville, 82-72. Middle Tennessee over Louisiana Tech, 68-51. North Carolina over NC State, 80-69. Bowling Green over Miami of Ohio, 83-73. Troy over Yale Monroe, 77-53. Louisiana over Texas Tech, 60-51. Lipscomb over Bellarmine, 69-49. Northwestern State over New Orleans, 88-65. Sam Houston over Texas Rio Grande, 83-64. Campbell over Charleston Southern, 78-76 in overtime. Alcorn State over Florida A&M, 57-47. Southeast Missouri State over Tennessee Tech, 84-77 in double overtime. Number 4, Alabama over Missouri, 85-64. Number 7, Texas over West Virginia, 69-61. Number 19, Clemson over Virginia Tech, 51-50. Murray State over Indiana State, 82-73. Yale over Penn, 70-63. Fresno over UNLV, 76-63. Utah State over San Jose State, 75-74. Seattle over Southern Utah, 81-60. Stanford over Western Carolina, 74-65. Portland over Pepperdine, 91-76. Northern Kentucky over Purdue, Fort Wayne, 74-54. UC Davis over Cal Poly, 65-63. Long Beach State over UC San Diego, 112-110 in triple overtime. That's an NBA score. Holy crap. Texas Southern over Alabama A&M, 70-59. Pine Bluff over Southern, 62-55. Lehigh over Lafayette, 61-49. Valpo over Illinois State, 71-51. Charlotte over Western Kentucky, 75-71. Incarnate Word over Lamar, 70-64. Abilene Christian over Texas Darlington, 84-68. App State over Old Dominion, 72-58. Robert Morris over Green Bay, 72-38. Milwaukee over Youngstown State, 88-75. Cleveland State over Wright State, 85-77. Kennesaw State over Florida Gulf Coast, 65-63. Grambling over Miss Valley State, 65-61. Bama State over Prairie View, 56-55 in overtime. Tulsa over Tulane, 81-79 in overtime. Utah over Washington, 86-61. Houston Christian over A&M Corpus Christi, 97-8. Utah Valley over Grand Canyon, 76-74. St. Mary's over Santa Clara, 77-58. San Francisco over BYU, 82-74. Portland State over Idaho State, 72-65. Northern Colorado over Idaho, 73-67. Florida State over Mississippi State, 61-59. North Alabama over Central Arkansas, 82-66. Number 24 FAU over UTEP, 67-59. Utah Tech over New Mexico State, 89-76. Weber State over Sacramento State, 50-48. Montana State over Montana, 67-64. Number 6 Gonzaga over Pacific, 99-90. USC over Arizona State, 77-69. San Diego State over Air Force, 70-60. Cal Baptist over Tarleton, 77-48. UCSB over Bakersfield, 76-58. Northridge over Fullerton, 69-66 in overtime. And Stanford over Oregon, 71-64. Sunday, number 15 UConn over Butler, 86-56. Indiana over Michigan State, 82-69. Central Con over LIU, 58-42. Number 3 Purdue over Maryland, 58-55. Memphis over Cincinnati, 75-68. Vermont over NJIT, 85-69. UMass Lowell over Bryant, 98-79. Michigan over Minnesota, 60-56. Merrimack over St. Fern Brooklyn, 63-55. Wagner over Sacred Heart, 68-58. Maine over Binghamton, 78-57. Fairfield over Siena, 62-52. Niagara over St. Peter's, 59-57. Rider over Manhattan, 67-65. Quinnipiac over Canisius, 82-82. 87-82. Mount St. Mary's over Marist, 55-55. Temple upsets number 1 Houston, 56-55. So it's going to be interesting to see who claims the number 1 spot in the AP poll. Wichita State over SMU, 71-69. Oregon State over Cal, 68-48. Furman over Wofford, 96-82. Colorado over Washington State, 58-55. And Stonehill over Fairleigh Dickinson, 70-59. All right, tonight's games. First up, a game that was postponed from earlier in the weekend, Wisconsin Northwestern at 6:30. Probably going to be on the Big Ten Network. My projections Northwestern by 1 3/4, total 129.5, and it is 2.5 and 120.5. I love the over. 7:00 North Dakota and Western Illinois. My lines: Western by 13.25, total 141 1/10, and it's 6.5 and 139.5. I'm laying the points. Chicago State, Coastal Carolina, my line's 15 and 143 and 17/20, and it is 9.5 and 143.5. I really like Coastal. Colgate BU on CBS Sports Network. My line is Colgate by 5 3/4, so 140 and 1/20, and it's 6.5 and 143.5. Slight Boston University. ESPN Duke Virginia Tech. My line is Duke by 4.5, total 136 and 17/20, and it is Virginia Tech by 3.5, total 137.5. Woo! Is that a Vegas nose line? Maybe. But give me Duke plus 3.5 and plus 128. That's crazy. Penn Hartford. My line is Penn by 8, total 141 3/10. And it's 14.5 and 139.5. Give me Hartford getting the points. That's a lot. Oakland, Detroit, Mercy. My line is Oakland by 0.5, total 151 and 17/20, and it's Detroit Mercy by 4.5, total 152.5. Give me Oakland plus 4.5 and plus 158 to win. 7:30, Maryland Eastern, NC Central. My line's Central by 9, total 137 and 4 fits. And it is 7.5 and 134.5. I like the over. Delaware State and SC State. My line is SC State by 2, total 146 and 7/20. And it's 6.5 and 146.5. Give me Delaware State getting all those points. Coppin State Howard. My line is Howard by 13.5, total 151, and it is 8.5 and 155.5. So I have a 4.5 point edge on the under, and I have a 5 point edge on Howard, so I'm going to lay it with Howard. Norfolk State and Morgan State on ESPNU. My line is Norfolk by 4.5, total 146 and a 10th, and it is 4.5 and 143.5. Over. 8 o'clock, Prairie View. Oh, wait, no, that's at 9 o'clock. 8:30, Florida A&M and Jackson State. My line is Jackson State by 6.25, total 136 and 3 fifths. And it is 12.5 and 131.5. Give me Florida A&M getting all those points. Southern and Mississippi Valley State. My line is Southern by 16.5, total 138 and 2 fifths. And it's 9.5 and 137.5. I'm going to lay it with Southern. Grambling, Arkansas, Pine Bluff. My line's Grambling 2.5, total 132.25. And it's 3.5 and 135.5. Under. Bethune, Alcorn State. My line is Alcorn 12.25, total 142 and 9/20. And it's Grambling 3.5, total 135.5. Woo! Wrong team's favor. Giving Pine Bluff plus 3.5. And wait. I'm confused. Oh, I read the wrong line, guys. I'm sorry. So I left off on Bethune Alcorn. I have Alcorn 12.25, total 142 and 9/20, and it's 9.5 and 144.5. That sounds better. I'm going to lay the points with Alcorn. Texas Southern, Alabama State. My line is Southern by 1, total 140 and 7/20, and it is 3.5 and 139.5. Give me Alabama State getting the points. 9 o'clock, ESPN, the game of the night. Number 2, Kansas, and number 21, Baylor. Great game. My line's Baylor by 1, total 146 and 3/20, and it is 2.5 and 149.5. I like the under. Prairie View and Alabama A&M. Mine's Prairie View 2.75, total 138 and 2 fifths, and it's 2.5 and 134.5. Over. And last but not least, on CBS Sports Network at 9 o'clock, New Mexico, Nevada. My line's New Mexico 4.5, total 144, and Nevada's favorite 3.5, total 147.5. Give me New Mexico plus 3.5 and plus 152 to win the game outright. All right, now move on to soccer. We will go over all the notable results from the weekend, and we'll look ahead to everything going on today. All right, the English Premier League. Saturday, Liverpool and Chelsea 0-0 draw. Nottingham Forest and Bournemouth 1-1 draw. Leicester and Brighton 2-2 draw. Aston Villa over Southampton 1-0. West Ham over Everton 2-0. Crystal Palace and Newcastle 0-0 draw. Yesterday, Leeds and Brentford 0-0 draw. Man City over Wolves 3-0. And Arsenal over Man United 3-2. All right, today's the last English Premier League game until Friday, February 3rd, so we're not going to have it for a week and a half. 3 o'clock today, it's Fulham and Tottenham. It's an interesting game. Tottenham is plus 110. Fulham is plus 220. Draw plus 270. I'm going to go with Tottenham at plus 110. All right, Spanish La Liga from the weekend and looking at today's match. Friday, Mallorca over Celta Vigo, 1-0. Saturday, Real Sociedad over Rayo, 2-0. Espanyol over Betis, 1-0. Atletico over Valladolid, 3-0. And Sevilla over Cadiz, 1-0. Sunday, Villarreal over Girona, 1-0. Elche and Osasuna, 1-1 draw. Barcelona over Getafe, 1-0. And Real Madrid over Athletic, 2-0. One game today, 3 o'clock, it's Valencia and Almeria. Valencia is minus 170. UD Almeria is plus 460. Draws plus 190 or 290. I'm going to say under 2.5 goals at plus 105. All right, Italian Serie A. We'll recap the weekend look ahead to today. Verona over Lecce, 2-0. Napoli over Salernitana, 2-0. And Torino over Fiorentina, 1-0. Sunday, Udinese over Sampdoria, 1-0. Monza and Sassuolo, 1-1 draw. AS Roma over Spezia, 2-0. And Juventus and Atalanta, 3-3 draw. 2 games today, 12:30 at Bologna and Cremonese. Bologna is minus 125. Cremonese is 380, draw 230. I'm going to go over 2.5 goals at plus 118. And 245 Inter Milan and Empoli. Inter's minus 360, Empoli 8-1, draw 460. For this one, I'm going to go over 3.5 goals at plus 140. And then French Coupe de France, round of 64. Friday, Marseille over Rennes, 1-0. Saturday, Lyon over Chambéry, 3-0. This is the round of 32. So Saturday, Lyon over Chambéry, 3-0. Reims over Les Herbiers, 3-0. Grenoble over Plabennec, 1-0. Toulouse over AC Ajaccio, 2-0. Paris FC over Chamaleries, 4-0. Laurent and Bastia, 1-1 draw. Rodez, Aveyron, and Grace, 0-0 draw. And then Aveyron advances 5-4 on penalties. And by the way, Lorient advances 4-1 on penalties. And last Saturday, Angers over South Koing-Schofen, 1-0. Sunday, Auxerre over Neraud, 4-0. Annecy and Belfort, 1-1 draw. And Annecy advances 4-3 on penalties. Nantes Theo, 0-0 draw. And Nantes advances 4-2 on penalties. Lille over Pau, 2-0. Vierzon and Lepoy, 0-0 draw. And Vierzon advances 5-3 on penalties. And Lens over Brest, 3-1. One game today to close out the round of 32. It's Pays de Cassel and PSG. PSG is 70 minus 7,000. So 70-1 favorites. Pays de Cassel's a 50-1 underdog. And the draw is 31-1. We're going to go under 3.5 goals at plus 280 as the pick for this game. Mexican Liga from the weekend. Santos over Mazatlan 2-1, and Tijuana and Tigres 1-1 draw. Saturday, Monterrey over Atletico San Luis 3-1. America and Puebla 2-2 draw. Toluca over Guadalajara 2-1, and Necaxa over Cruz Azul 1-0. Sunday, UNAM over Leon 4-1. Querétaro and Atlas 3-3 draw, and Pachuca over Juarez 4-1. We did Spanish La Liga already. German Bundesliga from the weekend. Friday, RP Leipzig and Bayern 1-1 draw. Saturday, Union Berlin over Hoffenheim 3-1. Frankfurt over Schalke 3-0. Mainz and Stuttgart 1-1 draw. Bochum over Hertha 3-1. Wolfsburg over Freiburg 6-0. And Cologne over Bremen 7-1. And then 2 yesterday, Dortmund over Augsburg 4-3, and Leverkusen over Gladbach 3-2. So that's it for among notable soccer for today. Now move on to the Australian Open. We'll go over all the results from the weekend, and we are already in to the quarterfinals. So at this point is when I start giving out bets. We'll start with the men's. We'll start with Friday. Third round, J.J. Wolf over Michael and Mo in 3 sets. Tommy Paul over Jensen Brooksby in 3 sets. 22 seed Alex Demeanor over Benjamin Bonzi in 3 sets. 19 Holger Rune over Hugo Humbert in 3 sets. 5 seed Andrei Rublev over 25 seed Dan Evans in 3 sets. 29 seed Sebastian Korda over Daniil Medvedev in 3 sets. That's a pretty big upset. 29-7. 18 seed Karen Kakdevov over 16 seed Francis Tiafoe in 4 sets. 10 seed Hubert Hurkacz over 20 seed Denis Shapovalov in 5 sets. And Jiri Lekecha over 11 seed Cam Norrie in 5 sets. Saturday, 4th round, Jiri Lekecha upset 6 seed Felix Auger-Aliassime in 4 sets. 18 seed Karen Kakdevov over 31 seed Yoshihito Nishioka in 3 sets. 29 seed Sebastian Korda upsets 10 seed Hubert Hurkacz in 5 sets. 24 seed Roberto Bautista Agut beats Andy Murray in 4 sets. 4 seed Novak Djokovic over Grigor Dimitrov in 3 sets. That's 3rd round. And so was Bautista Agut, Andy Murray, and the other 3 were 4th round. And then in 3rd round, Ben Shelton over Alexei Popyrin in 3 sets. Sunday, 4th round, 5 seed Andrei Rublev over 9 seed Holger Rune in 5 sets. Ben Shelton over J.J. Wolf in 5 sets. And Stefano Tsitsipas, 3 seed over 15 seed Jannik Sinner in 5 sets. This morning, 4th round results: 4 seed Novak Djokovic over 22 seed Alex Demeanor in 3 sets. Tommy Paul upsets 24 seed Roberto Bautista Agut in 4 sets. And then tonight begins the quarterfinals, 10 o'clock. 18 seed Karen Kakdevov and 29 seed Sebastian Korda. It should be a good match. Korda's minus 136. Karen Kakdevov is plus 116. I usually like to go to set betting. I'm going to go with Karen Kakdevov 3-1 plus 460. And then at 4:15 a.m., 3 seed Stefano Tsitsipas and Jiri Lekecha. Tsitsipas is minus 650. Lakecha is 490. I'm going to go with Sipias 3-1 at plus 250. All right, the women's from the weekend. We'll start with Friday. Third round. 5 seed Arena Sablenka over 26 seed Elise Mertens in 2 sets. Linda Fruhvirtova over Marketa Vondrasova in 3 sets. 23 seed Sui Zhang over Katie Volinets in 2 sets. 12 seed Belinda Bencic over Kamila Georgi in 2 sets. 30 seed Carolina Pliskova over Varvara Gracheva in 2 sets. Donna Vencic over Nuria Parias Diaz in 2 sets. Lin Zhu upset 6 seed Maria Sakkari in 3 sets. 24 seed Victoria Azarenka over 10 seed Madison Keys in 3 sets. 1 seed Iga Swiatek over Kristina Buska in 2 sets. And 17 seed Jelena Ostapenko over Katerina Kozlova in 2 sets. All right, third round from Saturday. Magda Linette upsets 19 seed Katerina Alexandrova in 2 sets, and 4 seed Carolina Garcia over Laura Siegman in 3 sets. Fourth round Saturday. 17 seed Jelena Ostapenko upsets 7 seed Coco Gauff in 2 sets. 22 seed Elena Rybakina upsets 1 seed Iga Swiatek in 2 sets. And Sunday, fourth round, 30 seed Carolina Pliskova upsets 23 seed Sui Zhang in 2 sets. Magda Linette does it again, upsets 4 seed Caroline Garcia in 2 sets. Donna Vencic over Linda Fruhvirtova in 3 sets. 5 seed Arena Sablenka over 12 seed Belinda Bencic in 2 sets. 24 seed Victoria Azarenka over Lin Zhu in 3 sets. And 3 seed Jessica Pegula over Barbora Krejcikova, your 20 seed, in 2 sets. Tonight we have a quarterfinal match at 8:30 p.m. It's 22 seed Elena Rybakina and 17 seed Jelena Ostapenko. Both of these women have been marvelous in the tournament so far. Rybakina's minus 220, Ostapenko's plus 184. And then for set, I'm going to go with, I don't feel good about it, but I'm going to go Rybakina 2-1 at plus 270. And then at 3 a.m. tonight, 3 seed Jessica Pegula and 24 seed Victoria Azarenka. Pegula's minus 240, Azarenka plus 198. And then for set betting, I usually bet, I'm going to go Pegula 2-1 plus 260. And there you have it for today. We'll go over more quarterfinal stuff in tennis on tomorrow's podcast. All right, now move on to golf. We had the American Express tournament over the weekend. Your winner of the event would score 27 under, John Rahm. Second with 26 under, Davis Thompson. Tied for third with 25 under, Xander Schauffele and Chris Kirk. Fifth with 24 under, Tom Montgomery. Tied for sixth with 23 under, JT Potson, Evan Van Rooyen, Tom Kim, Matthias Schmid, and Robbie Shelton. Tied for 11th with 22 under, Scotty Scheffler, Christian Ziedenhout, Pat Gazier, Grayson Hingo, Sam Bird. Tied for 16th with 21 under, Tony Finau and Danny Lee. Tied for 18th with 20 under, Adam Hadwin, Harry Higgs, Sanjay Im, and Jason Day. Tied for 22nd with 19 under, Keith Mitchell, Alex Smalley, Harrison Endicott, Siwoo Kim. Tied for 26th with 18 under, Cam Young, Matthias Schwab, Patrick Cantlay, Justin Rose, Estenalzo Goya, Thomas Dietrich. Tied for 32nd with 17 under, Brendan Steele, Taylor Hogue, Dylan Wu, Ben Griffin. Tied for 36 with 16 under, Austin Cook, Will Zalatoris, Eric Cole, Anna Putnam, Stefan Yeager. Tied for 41st with 15 under, Tyler Duncan, Zach Johnson, Stuart Sink, Sebastian Munoz, Justin Lauer, Sam Piercy, Byung-Hun Ahn, Harry Hall, and Trevor Werblow. Tied for 50th with 14 under, Alex Baddeley, Bayo Hostler, Wyndham Clark, Dylan McCarthy. Tied for 54th with 13 under, Russell Knox, Joseph Brimlett, Justin Sue, Dean Brewmeister, Kevin Tway, Steve Diglia, Victor Norman, Ricky Fowler. Tied for 62nd with 12 under, Martin Laird, Anders Albertson, and Zacheng Du. Tied for 65th with 11 under, Davis Riley and Ryan Moore. 67th with 10 under, Scott Stevens. 68th with 5 under, Andrew Landry. 69th with 3 under, Paul Haley. And among those cut of note, Adam Long, Emiliano Grito, Mark Hubbard, Kellen Gooley, Brandon Wu, Doug Gim, Harry English, Kevin Roy, Kramer Hickok, Jason Hadley, Taylor Pendrith, Brendan Todd, Aaron Weiss, Will Gordon, Taylor Moore, Ryan Brem, Callum Tarrant, Matthew Neesmith, Brian Harmon, Luke Lewis, Grayson Sieg, Jonathan Vegas, Ben Martin, Dylan Lingmerth, Cam Young, Davis Lipsky, MJ Dauphin, Sam Ryder, Aaron Wright, Charlie Hoffman, Nate Taylor, Jason Duffer, Richie Wrensky, Peter Malnati, Lucas Hodges, Patrick Knowles, Troy Merritt, Max McGreevy, Nate Lashley, Scott Harrington, Sudi Cordiara, Ryan Moore, Michael Thompson, Danny Willett, Matt Trainer, Michael Giljic, Chaz Ravi, Dylan Fratelli, Rory Sabatini, Andrew Novak, James Hahn, Brian Stewart, Wesley Bryan, Adam Schenk, and Ben Grant. That's a lot of big names cut. And the next one, the Farmers Insurance Open, begins on Thursday the 25th. We will preview and pick this on the podcast. Probably Thursday because the tournament's in California, so it's a later start. All right, now I'll move on to the news and notes for today. There's a lot of things that we must get to. Of course, Stephen A. Smith is trolling the Cowboys after their playoff loss. There were some tense warm-ups as 49ers players got in the way of Brett Maher after they know that they missed all those extra points the other day, and they're trying to get in his head, and then he got one blocked today, or yesterday. Joe Burrow made a comment about the fans that bought tickets to that Bills-Chiefs AFC title game that was supposed to be at a neutral site, which is interesting. Brian Flores will be interviewing with the Cardinals today for its head coaching job, so that's interesting. We talked about Jerry saying that McCarthy was safe already. The Cowboys would consider applying the franchise tag to Tony Pollard in order to prevent him from leaving, so that's really interesting. Stephon Diggs darted out of the locker room before briefly returning after their loss to the Bengals. Daniel Jones had a cryptic response on his desire to return after the Philly game. We will cross that bridge when we get there, he said. Joey Bosa fined $56,000 for his rant. As he got the fine for unsportsmanlike conduct and public criticism of officiating. Joe Burrow extension expected soon, as they plan to negotiate a big-time contract extension with him this offseason. Derek Carr tweets about moving on, as it sounds like he's ready for his next city as trade rumors fly. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers think that Tom Brady will leave, as several Tampa players believe he's played his last game as a Buck. although Brady will take time before deciding. J.J. Watt advocates for D'Amico Ryans. He said would be a great head coach after interviews with the Texans, Colts, Broncos, and Cards. Brock Purdy likely San Francisco's starter in 2023 unless Trey Lance makes seismic jump. Brock Purdy will be the starting quarterback next season. Isaiah Hodgins would love a long-term deal to remain with the Giants. And he also studied Patrick Peterson's podcast for gameplay details after a fan tipped him off, which is interesting. There was pipes breaking in the Giants hotel as the team had no water after a busted pipe in Philly. Like, is that just a coincidence or what? First round of the draft may not be wide receiver heavy, as Jordan Addison viewed as the only wideout who has a chance to be a lock in the top 20, which is interesting. And Tony Pollard has a broken fibula as he will have surgery. So that's unfortunate. The Cowboys really missed Tony Pollard in the second half of that game. Patrick Mahomes injured his ankle in the game against the Jaguars as Chad Henne had to come in for a little bit in that game. X-rays are negative, and he came back for the second half. And he had an MRI yesterday, and Mahomes plans to take the field next week. Ed Reed said that he will not coach Bethune-Cookman as he won't ratify contract to coach football after initial agreement. And he had a very passionate speech about it. Blake Corum is looking for a possible 7-figure paycheck after deciding to return to Michigan. Four-star quarterback from Florida, Jaden Rashada, was released from his national letter of intent after a $13 million NIL deal was dissolved. Former Georgia wide receiver A.D. Mitchell commits to Texas as a transfer. All right, the big news of hockey over weekend is that the Canucks fire head coach Bruce Boudreau, as Rick Tocchet is named the new head coach after they move on from Boudreau after less than 2 seasons. The Canucks, I think, are arguably the most dysfunctional franchise in hockey, period, end of story. They change coaches left and right. They have a lot of talent, but they never put it together, and they always blame the coach. Their ownership is just super impatient. Like, they make Ottawa look like a more competent franchise right now, for crying out loud. This was a bad move by Vancouver, I think, and it was just a classic panic move by the owners. And speaking of the Vancouver Canucks, Bo Horvat's in trade rumors, and the Bruins and the Hurricanes among 5 teams linked to him. Erik Karlsson on trade rumors. He says that he wants to win, and I do think he's going to get traded. I really do. Canadians right wing Cole Caulfield out for the season after season-ending shoulder surgery. That is brutal. for Montreal and Caulfield's development. Max Pacioretty back on injury reserve after suffering another Achilles injury just 2 weeks after returning to play. That's unfortunate for him. A lot of basketball to talk about. Anthony Davis could return next week as he's making pain-free progress, and Lakers are optimistic that he can return soon. The Utah Jazz opened the trade talks. They may be interested in hearing trade pitches on any player outside of Lauri Markkanen and Walker Kessler, which makes sense. The Charlotte Hornets are shopping veterans Terry Rozier, Gordon Hayward, and Kelly Oubre as they shift focus to the upcoming draft. Not surprised. The Bucks are pursuing Eric Gordon as they're pitching Houston for packages that include 4 second-round picks. A big story from the weekend is that Shannon Sharpe was at the Grizzlies-Lakers game on Friday night and had choice words for John Morant and Team Morant. And Shannon Sharpe and Ja's dad, T, cleared the air after their altercation, so that's good. The Heat joined the Lakers, Bucks, and Mavericks as possible suitors for Knicks forward Cam Reddish. Dennis Schroeder, the other night, had a message for his friend Anton Wilkes of Charlotte FC, who passed away on Thursday, which was a really nice tribute for him to do. And how about this? Brianna Stewart's a free agent. She's meeting with a bunch of teams. The Storm, which is her own team, the Lynx, the Mystics, and the Liberty. Let's see if Brianna goes back to the Storm or not. This is, I think, the biggest free agent in the WNBA in a long time, arguably in WNBA history. If she signs with the Liberty, we need to get Jeff Maglicetti on the podcast. But we have to get him on either way. But this is a big deal. This is the biggest WNBA free agent I can remember ever. Bronny James sets his top 3 for Ohio State, USC, and Oregon, and will pick at the end of the season. I'm surprised UCLA's not in there. I'm really surprised UCLA's not in there. It should be. So if I had to guess, it's probably SC, but I'm surprised UCLA's not in there. Brian McBride out as U.S. men's national team's general manager. As he was in that position for 2 years. We'll see where Team USA goes next. Brandon Montero wins back flyweight title in 4th fight against Davison Figueiredo after doctor stoppage. That was Saturday night. And Jamahal Hill is UFC champ after dominant decision win over Glover Teixeira in the UFC 283 main event. Now we have a lot of baseball stuff. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. took a shot at the Yankees when a young fan asks him which team was the easiest to play against. That's a complete troll job, and Vlad Guerrero's a great player, but he is just so immature. So immature. Chris Sale says he's a full go, as he's ready to go after injury-marred seasons. Need to see him stay healthy, obviously. Mike Trout says the Team USA must win the World Baseball Classic. Anything else is a failure. I mean, he's not wrong. They have a loaded team, and they should go out and win that. And a big baseball trade from the weekend, as the Marlins acquired Luis Arraez from the Minnesota Twins for Pablo Lopez, infielder Jose Salas, who's their number 5 prospect, and Byron Chourio. That is a monster trade. I love it for Miami. In result of this, Chaz Chisholm is moving to center field, according to general manager Kim Eng. So that is completely wild. I love the deal for Miami. I don't know if I like it for Minnesota, because Pablo Lopez in the American League, I don't know. And Jazz Chisholm says he'll be a Gold Glove center fielder. And he told the Marlins if they didn't get a center fielder, he would play the position and win a Gold Glove. There you go. And Manny Ramirez says that Shohei Ohtani is worth $500 million and says he's a phenomenon and deserves record money. All right, last but not least, my best bet of the day brought to you by FanDuel. I know our news and notes was long today because it was the weekend. We had to go over a lot. Best bet's a hard one today. There's not a lot that I like on the board in any of the sports, really. I know I did a U.S. Open tennis for best bet last year, but that didn't work out, so I'm not going to go there again. So, believe it or not, I'm going to go to soccer for best bet. There was a slight favorite I really liked today. And that team is Tottenham at plus 110 against Fulham in the English Premier League. For my best bet, I'm going to lay a whole unit on it. Tottenham plus 110 on the money line against Fulham for my best bet of the day. All right, so that's it for the show. And we'll look back on everything. On tomorrow's show, we'll get to everything for tomorrow. I might do my first mock bracket of 2023. So keep an eye out for that. Hope you guys have a great day, everyone.